everybody. I'm Amy Bernstein, and I want to welcome you back to our podcast. Today, I'm lucky to be sitting here with Brandon, and Brandon is one of our unbelievable agents. And he came to us from the hospitality business. What do you consider great service?
Well, one, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure being here with you. I think in the hospitality world, the biggest thing for us is just creating an experience for people that is meaningful and impactful and that people remember. I got into the industry at a very young age, and I'm a people person at heart.
That gives me the chills because you are.
I joke that I could talk to a brick wall for 8 hours, and it's probably true. So that was really the bread and butter, and for me, it was making an impact on people's lives. I used to say that we would catch people at the worst times, right? When you're going into a restaurant, you're hungry, you're probably coming in after work, you've had a long day, and our goal was to turn that around, right? You come in and you might be a little distraught after your day, and the goal is to make you leave and feel happy and memorable.
It worked always for me in your restaurant.
That was the goal. And here we are almost a year later.
So now fast forward into your real estate career. I know real estate is something you've always thought about doing. And so we are so excited that you're doing it. And when you go out and you talk to, let's discuss the seller side of the transaction. When you go out and you take a listing and you talk to the seller, what's one of the first things you do when you meet the seller and you walk through the home as far as what you look for and what you coach them to do?
Sure. So when we're looking to meet with sellers and get listings ready for sale, I think the biggest thing is it's putting on a presentation, right? It's getting the home as ready as possible so that when potential buyers walk through, they're ready and it shows well. And it goes kind of back into the restaurant or the hospitality world. It's the same thing, right? When you set your restaurant up at the beginning of the day, you're setting it up so that when people walk through that front door, they're looking around and they're picking up on these small details.
Do I want to eat here?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because you not only do you eat with your eyes first, but if you walked into a restaurant and it was not up to scale, it's maybe not somewhere where you want to invest your money. And going and selling homes is the same thing, right? So we're trying to create an experience and present this home in its best possible light.
And so what are some of the keynotes a seller can do, in your opinion, when they get ready to put their home on the market for sale? What do you encourage them to do?
I think one of the first things is the easiest thing to do is just declutter, right?
I agree.
When you walk in, you want to see that a home's lived in, and I think that's an important part to make, because a lot of people sometimes struggle with the idea of saying, oh, here's where the dining room table will go and things like that. But you don't want too much clutter. You don't want too many things laying around, right? So reduce some of that clutter. We always tell people if you've got electronics, medications, and all that fun stuff, hide that, put that away, right? You don't want people coming into your home. And
there's some people that when I go meet people, I always think it's interesting. One of the number one questions is, do I need to put away my personal photos, like my family photos? And there are books that say, yes, you should. I personally disagree. And I think seeing the family photos or seeing your personal photos or photos with friends, I think people like to see who lives there, and they like to see how you live there, and they like to see the memories that were made there. And so I'm not a fan of putting away photos. Certainly there's some photos that maybe shouldn't. I've seen photos where people were really excited before having their first baby, and maybe there some, images of that and before the birth and things like that. Maybe that should not be. But for the most part, just the photos of life and your day-to-day life and your friends and your family and all of that, I think are really things to be proud of and what makes a home a home.
No, absolutely. And I think once you move past that point of removing all of those things that, right, kind of going through that process of deciding what's going to stay and what do we want to put away, one of the first things we always look at, right, is the overall cleanliness and the appearance of the home. And we've had a couple deals where the first thing we always recommend is if the home could use a coat of paint and that's going to be the thing that brightens it up the most, then sometimes just that fresh coat of paint really puts a new breath of life into the home.
Right. One of the things that I always look at is you want to make sure all of the lighting is on, working, the bulbs are working, and the lighting is consistent. So to me, it's a fingers on a chalkboard when I see a warm bulb and a cool bulb in the same space. Sometimes, I always say I wish I owned a lighting store where I could just whip up a bulb right away for people when their bulbs go out. But sometimes when people have a bulb go out, they'll put up any bulb just to get the light in the space. and they forget to go back and put
Sure.
the correct bulb in. So that applies especially with recessed lighting, where you may have one that is the flat bulb that goes into the light to make it a actual recessed light, and it fits nicely within its casing. And then you'll see a little 75 watt round lamp bulb in there as a space saver. So it's always good to go in and make sure all bulbs are the same size and they're all the same warm or cool tones. And I'm not really a fan of the cool tones because it looks more like fluorescent lighting, and I don't think it makes the home feel quite as homey. Another thing that I look at when I walk through is I look at AC returns.
Sure.
And if they're full of black, and usually black, people think mold right away. And so it's not always mold. Sometimes it's just plain dust and lint. So I always say to go in before and make sure all your AC returns and everything look fresh, and you've changed your filters and all of that, so that you're blowing clean air out and things like that you can easily forget when you put a home on the market. Other things.
I was also going to say, I think one of the big things too is paying attention to where dust accumulates in places that you might not think. Baseboards, door frames,
yes,
and all these places. And especially if a seller or if a buyer is walking a home, right? Those are some of those key things that they pick up on, and it's not necessarily going to be a deal breaker, but it's one of those things that just sets you up just a little bit better to really offer this clean, well-rounded appearance to go to market with.
I agree. Another thing that I always tell buyers when they look at a home, if they see it during the day, I think it's a nice thing to suggest they come back at night and look and see how the home feels at night too. So that's another reason to make sure all your lamp lighting is working and things like that, just to make sure that the home has the feel. What about smells?
This is a big one. Let's
just say there was a smoker inside the house, right? There are companies, you want to talk about those companies that can go in and they say they can get rid of a lot of the smells.
Deodorize, if you will.
Yes.
There are professional companies out there that will come in and will really put a good foot forward to help you deodorize that house and really kind of give you this neutral, clean slate to start back from. But let's say you weren't a smoker, some of the small things you can do is, burn a couple candles at night, or, lay out some of those plugins that you can put in and around the home.
Yes.
You don't necessarily want to pile on additional smells to try to mask things, because that's never a good look either. But you want to create, again, this clean, well-rounded format for somebody to walk in and say, wow, this is a really well-presented home. It smells nice. One of our agents, they use these things called Scentify, and you load them up with little, essential oils, and they'll just continue pumping out through the home all day.
I love those.
They work great.
I'm a big person in my home now. I use diffusers, and I just come home and it smells so fresh and so nice, and I love it.
No, absolutely.
What about just stacks? I'm a big stack person, right? So, and usually when I go and photograph a house, big place where stacks accumulate usually is offices and kitchens for whatever reason. And so I always tell people, go ahead and buy those nice little bins that you can buy at any organizational store, and just put your wires in there and all your stacks in there, so that the home shows nice and neat along the way.
And it goes a long way.
What about like today? We're in March now, but certainly from December through February, no one's yards look great. Everyone has dormant grass, and no one's yard looks great. So when I go and list a house at those times of year, people say, what to do about my yard? I always say, just put some good mulch up, and that cleans up everything usually. And there's no point in planting now. As soon as you plant on January, you're gonna get a freeze in February, and you'll lose all the investment. So just a good, clean set of mulch. But I always do look at the front door, right? Because that's where little pods of wasp nest land and build, etc. And a good, clean, shiny front door. And to be honest, sounds so lame, but it's true, a good welcome mat. A good, clean welcome mat in the front door is a good first impression. And typically you never have a second chance to make a first impression. And then we typically professionally photograph all our listings. And so when we come over and bring the photographer, you as a homeowner are welcome to look through the lens of that photographer and say, can I look and see how that photo looks? And if you don't like it, we can reshoot it right there on the spot. But a lot of homes that have pools or landscape lighting will do what's called the dusk shot. And on the dusk shot, the dust shots happen, they start around 5. And if you live in a high rise, you get such a pretty view at night of the views. But if you have a home with a pool, you do get, really good with the pool light on it. It shows so beautifully. So those are some things to consider about the time of the day when we come over and photograph as well. Any last minute thoughts that you would tell a seller as they prep their home? What about, have you ever gone with a seller house hunting to see what else is on the market and to see what their competition is?
I haven't done it yet, but I will say is I've been on the receiving end of that. We've held open houses and I've had other agents come through with their sellers or their clients have come on their own accord just to be able to see, again, to gauge what else is out there on the market. Because I think you used the right word, right? It is competition at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's everybody's goal to get their home sold as quickly as possible, and being able to, make sure you're able to compete with the big guys out there is a good thing.
Yes. So tell us about the weekend open houses. You're the master of it. So what do you think the best times are? Saturday, what the best times are Sunday? I know that you're a big fan of weekend open houses.
I do like my weekend open houses, and I definitely think that depending on the day, it is imperative that the timing is critical. I think on Saturdays, starting a little bit earlier, maybe that 12 to 2 range, 12 to 3.
Yes.
Houston's kind of up and moving at that point. People are moving and grooving, and you can kind of catch people in the interim. Somebody might have gone out to a breakfast or an early lunch, and you have this gap in your schedule.
Yes.
Sundays are, I usually say, a little bit later. People are, wrapping up church services, and those Sunday brunches a little bit later on during the day. So I usually find that maybe like a 2 to 4 or even a 3 to 5 sometimes works a little bit better.
And you do something pretty special at your open houses, and it takes an extra effort, and I'm really proud that you do it. And tell us about that.
So one of the things I'll do is if I ever take an open house that I haven't been to before, or it's, a market area that I haven't worked in, we'll go and we'll create these little neighbor drop-offs. So we'll take things like a poppy, and we'll do, hey, this listing just popped on the market, swing on by to the open house. Or we'll use popcorn, and we're not trying to give poppies out to the whole neighborhood or popcorn out, but it's just a vessel, and it's a way to introduce yourself as the agent and market to not only the general public, but to these neighbors, right? Because a lot of the time you have neighbors who say, oh, I want my friends to live near me. So sometimes they're a really, really good source to help find buyers.
Absolutely. That's really a smart thing to do, that you take the time to do that, and you're becoming known as the poppy guy, which is great. So anyway, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And anybody who lists their home with you is lucky. That's what I have to say, because you give it 110% and it shows. And so I know we're lucky that we get to work with you. So thank you very much for tuning in today. Hope you learned something. If you have any additional questions, you can call and ask for Brandon. Brandon, what are the best ways for them to reach you?
You can reach me at my cell phone at 215-920-4270. Or give the office a call and ask for me directly.
Okay, we have 2 Brandons.
That is true.
So what are they supposed to say, Poppy Brandon? I'm teasing. Anyway, so please give Brandon a call. He would love to be of service to you. And just remember, what do we say, Brandon? Your home is
our expertise.